Welcome to Different Facets of Happiness. Today, I'm excited to introduce Kathy McDaniel, author of Misfit and Hell to Heaven Expat. Kathy, your remarkable near death experience offers deep insights into life, the afterlife, and the profound transformation that comes with it. Today, we'll dive into your powerful journey from despair to heavenly light and explore how your story can inspire us to find true happiness. Again, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
So, my first question to you is what inspired you to write this book?
I had the experience 25 years ago, and it was overwhelming, of course. And I had no one to talk to about it. Nobody wanted to listen. And so I had to kind of stuff it away. And I thought with time it might just fade and go away, but it didn't. And so about 10 years after this, through a series of synchronicities, I found myself at an IANS meeting. That's the International Association of Near-Death Studies. And all these hundreds of people had had near-death experiences. And so I was so happy to find my people, except they all had all these, rainbows and bunnies and stuff, and I didn't. And so nobody really could explain it to me. So eventually they found out I'd had a distressing one, and they were thrilled. And they said, it's only about 8% of the people have these, and we would love to hear about it. We'd love to hear what you think about it. Well, they coerced me into telling the story, and I thought I would be shamed and embarrassed, but they loved it. And then I found some other people that had written books, Nancy Evans Bush, Howard Storm, and I started to understand what had happened. And that took 20 years to finally put the pieces all together. And then COVID hit. And I had always been thinking or hearing, you hear this voice when you get back, it gets kind of loud. You need to write a book. You need to write the book. You need to write the book. So with COVID, I had no more excuses. I had all this time and nothing to do. So I sat down and I thought, well, I don't even know where to start, but I just put my fingers on the keyboard and all the ideas started coming in about I needed to tell about my family so people would understand who I was and my background.
Yeah.
And then it just flowed. And then at an IANS conference, I found a lady that was just starting a publishing company. She says, I'll do your book.
Mm.
And then boom, it was like, now how do you get that out there? And of course, because of COVID, we got podcasts, and people started finding me. And so now 150 plus podcasts later, in 4 years, I know the message is getting out. It just, God wanted me to do it, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. How did this experience change your view of life and death?
Wow. 180. I was always taught, again, as a Catholic, that, oh, wow, it's hard to get up there. If you're going to be a saint, they've got this whole thing they go through. You got to have miracles and all that stuff. So most people just go to purgatory first. And then if they're lucky, people pray for them and eventually they get out. I was taught there was a last judgment. There was, all these heavy duty things.
Mhm.
But now I know that none of that's true. You still got free will. If you want to make your own hell, you can go. But part of my message is skip the trip, because God would never, never, God is so all loving and all forgiving that everybody goes to heaven. There is a life review. That's the little catch. And that has nothing to do with God and judgment. You just get to see how your life went. You get to examine the people you interacted with. Were you a kind person? Were you a snarky person? And you just get to understand what your life here was like. And then they flip it around. And
Yeah.
then you get to understand by feeling how it was to interact with you. So if you were mean, if you were bad, you'd feel that. But that's not judgment by God. That's karma. And it's not done to make you feel bad. It's just to understand what your life meant.
Oh, wow. So, what does the title Misfit in Hell to Heaven Expat mean to you?
When I found myself in this hellish realm, I had no idea, A, I was dead, B, what was going on, how I was going to get out. It was just awful and weird and unending. And every time there were jobs they wanted me to do, and all of them were disgusting and yucky. And I would just say, no, I'm not going to do that. And they'd say, okay, it's just going to get worse. The next one, and it was in segments. So the lights would go out and the lights would come up, and I'd find, oh my goodness, now what? Now what? And I kept saying, no, 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 no. So I was the misfit. And up to the very end, I still was being a brat pretty much. And so I irritated that last demon lady and expected to go into another segment. But then it was boom, heaven time and bliss and joy and love. So I was the misfit.
Oh,
Now, the Heaven Expat thing,
yeah.
when an expatriate is someone who lives in one country, they go work in another country, and then they're expats while they're there, and then they
Yeah.
go home. All of us start in heaven. We're all part of God. We're all spirit. We start in heaven. We come down here. We do our work. We go home. We're heaven expats.
Ah, how has this experience shaped your relationship with others?
Big time. When I got back, I prayed a lot about not wanting to experience that again. I was told to be loving, kind, merciful, forgiving, encouraging, grateful, non judgmental, and useful. Then I had to put that into my everyday life. And just being a regular human, it was like a pinball. I'd give you good one day, the next day. So that really, I was told later, just be loving and kind. Don't be, you know, don't get carried away. So loving and kind. I have found that particularly with people I don't like or I don't get along with, if I'll just turn on that loving and kind from a very sincere place, they change too. And so I found that it's just a wonderful way to live. And that's what I really aim to do no matter what situation I'm in. Is just be loving and kind as much as I can.
I completely agree. So what was the most surprising part of your experience in the afterlife?
I got to see my deceased fiancé that I had been taking care of for 9 months who had leukemia. That's why I got so sick and run down because I was taking care of him with another caregiver. And he died at 53, and it broke my heart. And I couldn't believe he died. I was furious. I was so upset and I was sick. So when I got in the coma from the illness that I had for 3 weeks. And then I wandered into this other world and finally blasted into heaven and this joy and bliss. I saw him. He was there. He was alive. He looked great. And he was laughing. And I thought, wow, he doesn't know he's dead, And I thought, I guess I never felt that way. And I thought, well, I don't want to be the one to, burst his balloon. But then he really started laughing. And I thought, wait a minute. If he's dead, I must be dead. And we're in heaven. And this is like the best news ever. So I got so excited and I says, hey, show me around. This is so cool. And he kind of creeped over and said, now, Mary Kay, you've got too much left to do. And I thought, huh? You mean they're throwing me out? No, I was just jumping up and down. No, I'm not going. Boom, back I went. So that was so life affirming. That was so wonderful. And to know nobody's dead. We just change addresses, man. Our whole being is still right on the other side, and they're just this close away. They're not way far away up in this heaven. They're right here with us. That saves you a lot of grief right there.
Oh, it does. So what role does forgiveness play in your story and your message?
Yeah, huge. It's number 4 on the list. Loving, kind, merciful, forgiving. That's very important. We're here to learn how to love. The Earth is like a school, and we're learning. Oh, we get this mind wipe when we come down here, and we have to start over. But we have to learn to love, and that really includes forgiveness, and not just if somebody says, "Oh, well, I'm sorry" or whatever.
Yeah.
You just forgive.
Yeah. Yeah. So what kind of response have you received from readers who have experienced something similar?
Most
Yeah.
people that have had these experiences, they're very similar in that we come back really kind of getting away from religions
Yeah.
and going more into spirituality, um, being more on the positive side rather than, again, the thou shalt nots. Um, yeah, that's universal. It's amazing. And we're not afraid of death. we're looking forward to going home. That's what heaven is home. So that's a big change. Looking
Yeah.
forward to
And it's
going home.
true. And it's just pure love, as you mentioned earlier.
Oh, yeah, it's
Yeah.
awesome.
So, in what ways do you believe your experience can help others struggling with the fear and grief or uncertainty about death?
A lot of us go to work for hospice when we get back, which I did because I was jealous of them. I was jealous these people were going home. And so it gave me an opportunity when I would run into a family or to an individual who was frightened. I could just sincerely sit down, take their hand and say, "Let me tell you where you're going. You're so fortunate. And yes, you're going to see your mom again. Yeah, she's just going to be a whisper away from you. She'll always be with you." And to have those people's eyes just light up and say, "Really?" And I said, "Oh, no, man, I've been there." And it changes everything for them. It really
Yeah.
does.
Oh. Do you think that near death experiences are unique to individuals or do they share a common theme?
I think the after effects are the most common thing, your life changes, you're not afraid of death, and you're loving and kind. I have a distressing sharing group
Mm.
on IONS, and I'm trying to pull in the people who have had them because there's such a small percentage and they're unable to tell their stories because they always feel shamed and weird and ugly and bad. And so I think there's a difference on what your religious background is.
Mm.
It's nothing to do with you're a good person, bad person. It's just what you've been indoctrinated with. And I think that the people that come back that have had the distressing are to share the message that God's all loving and forgiving. I think if you go a straight shot it and don't come back,
Yeah.
nobody has that experience unless they want to. Because there's people out there that just don't like goodness, then they want to be with evil. Well, free will, pal. Find your own place down there.
Well, I'm just sorry. I'm fascinated that people would want to be in
I
that.
know. And I'm told that there's always like angels and stuff hovering saying, "If you change your mind, we're here. You take you back where you belong." But because God really, gave you free will and honors that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So how do you continue to maintain your connection with the divine or spiritual realm now that you've returned to life? Do you have certain practices that you do?
Yeah, I'm living. And my whole life is, if something goes wrong. I know now that I planned that and I planned it so I could learn something. So
Mm.
I don't feel like a victim anymore. God, why are you doing this to me? It's just like, okay, I don't like what's going on here. This is a signal. I need to find out what's going on. So that's a huge thing. There's nothing to fear in death. It's a joyous thing. It's joyous.
But why do
Right.
people fear it?
Because it's unknown and because we've been given all these horrible, spooky stories about hell and devils and all that stuff. And wow, look at all the movies. People go to all these horrible movies with murders and demons. And, it's indoctrinated. And there's that fear. And fear is your number one enemy. There's nothing to be afraid of on the other side. It's home.
So how do you view the concept of a soul? Is it something that continues evolving even after death?
That's a good question. The us, I and some members and people who there's millions of us on the planet now. I think it's something's happening here. A
Yeah.
lot of people are being awakened. But my understanding of God now is source, is energy. Anything you're learning in science now says that everything is energy.
Yeah.
Nothing is really solid, and it's all one piece, and that's God. So we're parts of God. We are just choosing to come down to Earth and other planets. There's other universes. There's all kinds of places you get to reincarnate thousands and thousands of times. But you get a chance to come down here and just, I don't know, learn. And then you go home, but you never die. You just have different experiences. God is experiencing, it's not himself or itself. And we're just part of God. We can't be destroyed.
So you just said something there that triggered another question to me, for me. Can you transfer or shift from one realm to the next?
Not me personally, but there's lots of realms. And I love the newest thing that they're getting into is there are no aliens. Those are us, just reincarnated in a different planet in a
Yeah.
different form. Our bodies are just like a costume. Our souls are all the same, all same color, same size, everything. It's just we put on these costumes so that we can learn things,
Oh,
have experiences,
that's
including aliens.
fascinating. So many people are fascinated by the concept of time in the afterlife. Do you feel time passing, or did you feel time passing, or was it more of a timeless existence?
It was an eternal now. That's the best I can come up with. Uh, Time is a construct, I understand, of man because we're on a planet where things change. So
Yeah.
we had to do something with that, and we age here. But on the other side, when you don't have a body and everything is already in existence, it's just always now, and it doesn't seem to bother you as you get used to it.
So you mentioned about age. Do people get to choose the age that they want to appear in on the other side?
Yeah, yeah, that's why my friend, when I saw him, he didn't have leukemia anymore, and he looked about 35 instead of 53. He had dark hair instead of gray, and that's what that shocked me. And I thought, wait a minute, I just saw you a month ago. You look like yuck. But yeah, you can, and then you can recognize other people, and uh, everybody that comes back has like this little tiny piece of the puzzle because
Yeah.
eternity is huge, unfathomable, endless. And so one person with a little human brain can only hold so much. So we all it's fun about ions is you can kind of get together and put the puzzle pieces in and start to feel like you're getting a handle on things. You'll never figure it all out. And
Yeah.
that's not the point. When you're on the other side, of course, everything is known, but and people still just like to learn more stuff.
So it's about lessons, the lessons that you learn on earth, the lessons that you learn in heaven, and having the choice to, if you feel like you didn't really learn your lesson, coming back and doing it again.
Yes, it's been said that Earth is the toughest gig. That this has got the lowest energy level, dark, and it's rough. It's a rough place to go here, and the people that come here are very brave souls. As somebody said, we should get a sticker, that put on us, and people say, "Damn, you went to Earth? Wow, how was it?" So, if you again, it changes your life into thinking, I'm a brave soul.
Yeah.
It is very difficult here, but look, I'm doing pretty darn good. That's
Yeah.
great.
So how would you explain the purpose of human suffering here on earth and the challenge that we're seeing?
It's lessons. If I go to back to, I lost a baby. That was a very horrible experience. She had a terrible surgery just after she was born. I was just devastated. I was so mad at God about that. But we chose that.
Yeah.
She said, I'll go down for 9 months and one day, pal, and I'm out of here. So then you have got what the suffering offers is the ability to become empathetic. So I took that suffering and I lived through it. And so when a couple of my girlfriends, like in the next couple of years, lost babies, they could come to me because I knew how they felt
Yeah.
and I could be a comfort to them. So in any kind of suffering, if you've been through it, people are going to gravitate to you and say, how come you're still alive? How come you can smile? How come you made it? And you can be a help to them with that empathy. Empathy is a very priceless, wonderful gift.
Yeah. Are you concerned that people are skeptical about your story?
Sure. I don't care. I mean, no, they're skeptical, but I say to atheists, I says, "Oh man, you've got the best surprise coming. You think it's going to be black and over, and there's going to be a party, and you're going to, oh man, I can't believe I fell for that."
Yeah.
So no, we're here. If you're going to be skeptical, you plan to be skeptical, and maybe you got to stay here a while so you can finally learn the truth, or else you get a big surprise when you go home and everybody's laughing.
And is every soul connected? Like, for example, your family members, are you all connected? And do you repeat into a different realm, all connected?
Well, that's what I've asked of people that have come back, and yeah, they're soulmates, definitely, but lots of them. And so you can reincarnate together. You know, this time I'll be the brother, you be the son-in-law, whatever. You can do that. And then there are people like you and I just now. We planned, you know, we're going to be busy. I won't be able to see you, but hey, let's check in for about an hour, okay, when we're here, and that'll be fun. So that's, I really believe that. So you run into people, you know, quite often where you go, don't I know you? Where do I know you from? And you can't figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of your soulmates. And that makes it fun too. There's a lot that changes that's positive when you have one of these experiences. You can live life lighter, really.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So your story is deeply personal. Was there anything about your experience that you initially didn't want to share with readers, but eventually decided to include in the book?
Yeah, there was quite a few, particularly my family. You know, that's tough writing a memoir when they're my mother had always said my whole life, Kathy, you've had such an interesting life. That was not a good not a good word. You've got to write a memoir, but for God's sake, wait till I'm dead. You know, she didn't want her friends to know, oh my God, Kathy did that.
Yeah.
So I kept trying to wait till she died, but she's still alive. She's 97 and got some dementia. But she didn't read the book, I wouldn't let her, but my
Yeah.
dad did. He was the only one in the book, and
Yeah.
I was afraid for him to read it, but he was so cool about it. It was really, really fun, but you know, the rape scene and all the I mean, things that actually happened to me that were shaming and embarrassing, no, I didn't wanna put them in there, uh, but it had to be said because I took that particular horrible incident, and that was part of my hell.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
took the terrible earthquake that I was in 1989 in Santa Cruz, where the whole town fell down. It was awful.
Yeah.
That's my first scene in hell. So it took me a long time to realize that. And when I share that with other people that have had the distressing kinds, a lot of them say, oh my gosh, I had segments too. So it's been a way to help other people.
Yeah. 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 And how has your understanding of unconditional love changed since you've had this near death experience?
Oh, you know, nobody really gives you a good, solid definition of unconditional love. It's just loving without condition. It's that simple. And being a human, you can always come up with conditions. But I think it starts with forgiveness.
Yeah. True. True. Do you feel that you've been given a specific mission to fulfill since your return to life? And if so, what is that mission?
I'm doing it right now.
You-
It's telling people.
Yeah.
And also getting involved with IONS and helping the distressing NDEs. And it took a while to realize that, but now it's wonderful. Everybody needs to find their purpose, and that's tough. But when something you do you love and gives you energy, that's a clue. And I love doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. And in what ways did your journey through the afterlife shift your understanding of true happiness? And how do you believe we can better cultivate that in our everyday lives?
True happiness.
Yes.
Mhm. True happiness. I think by being loving and kind, it works both ways. When you're loving and kind to others, it comes back to you. Um, that's been like big, I think, for me.
Yeah, it does tenfold. Kathy
Mhm.
McDaniel, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to have you here.
Well, thank you, Jackie. I would just loved it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.